I can say that it was torturing till death at some point.
Is it beating with
metal sticks, wooden sticks, built, jumping in your head, jumping in your back, kicking in the face. They cut my hair with broken glasses. They electrocuted me for very long with this electric stick for the army.
Rock Dude 60 is presented by Live Nation Sweden, Scandinavia's largest event company. Welcome to Rock Dude 60 and a new international episode. And it's time for a celebration, don't you agree? And we celebrate with an episode featuring the Egyptian metal star Ramy Essam. Ramy Essam is a true hero in many ways. He held several concerts in KAIRO during the revolution 2011. His concerts gathered hundreds of thousands of people, and it united the citizens to destroy the regime. His participation was not only for the good, he got arrested and tortured several times. But because of the music, he survived, and at last he escaped to Sweden and became the first refugee musician. This episode will give you the unfiltered version of Ramy's story about his life. And of course, we talked about his biggest passion in life, the metal music. You can listen to all of his stories in Rock Dude 60. Enough talking from my side. Let's start the interview with Ramy Essam. Okay,
we're live here in the studio.
We're live, a new international episode, and today we have a very special guest. He's called Ramy Essam. Is that right?
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
And you're all the way from overseas, right? You were just recently in the US.
Yeah, I was in the States lately. Yeah.
Playing?
I was in Colorado playing in a festival, Rocky Folk Festival.
It seems that you've been traveling a lot, but you're based here in Sweden, right?
I'm based in Sweden for 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're originally from?
Egypt.
Egypt.
And I came directly from Egypt to Sweden, like 3 years ago.
So you're born and raised in Egypt?
Born and raised in Egypt, yes, exactly, in Mansoura city.
Because we were looking up your, you have a very long Wikipedia about your story and everything. Obviously, you've done a lot of press regarding, because your background is a bit interesting in terms of the way you came about and also the political climate and the music. Would you want to explain a little bit what happened since you being there from the beginning and leading up to now?
Yeah, this long Wikipedia thing you mentioned, it just happened like in a crazy way in a very short time. It happened in 2011, especially when in one night from unknown artist to something. And that happened that I was having my political songs and revolutionary songs from before the revolution that started in 2011 in Egypt. But I was just singing to my friends and in very small events, and I was doing like rock music, which is not popular to the audience there, and I was singing something very underground and very alternative, and I was still like trying to find my way. And my biggest concert before the revolution was for 300 people, and this was exactly 1 month before I was standing in front of hundreds of thousands
in the streets in Cairo. Yeah.
And like when I had this 300 audience concert, I was the happiest one in the world. And just 1 month after, I was standing in front of 100,000 people singing in a revolution. So my life just changed in really one night.
But how did you actually end up playing in the streets of Cairo for 100,000 people? Was someone telling you should do this to revolute? Because after you did that, everything's changed pretty much in terms of the political climate. And you can explain a little bit about that as well.
Okay, like before the revolution, I was never like an activist, so I didn't participate in any parties or demonstrations or sit-ins. I was just like an artist that singing about political issues, like some social topics. And my older brother Shadi, he was the guy that he was activist and all the time telling me about the shit coming from the government and the system. But even my songs before the revolution, it was always, I'm singing it from an individual point of view. It wasn't a song for the movement and for the demonstrations. It was like, I am an artist that don't like what's happening in the surround, and I'm like explaining that. That's how I was doing my songs before. And when the revolution started, I joined the demonstrations in my hometown, Mansoura city, and there was no music at all in the first days. It was like very tough, bloody fight against the police and no music at all. And at some point, people won the fight against the police. The police surrendered. And then we hear that there's a big sit-in starting in KAIRO, in Tahrir Square in downtown there. And we felt that we want to continue what we started, and they had the same feeling like the people, and everyone was started to move there to join the big sit-in. In the beginning, I didn't want to take the guitar because the guitar is like my son. So
exactly,
and it's like a big fight, and I didn't find real space for music at this moment. But my brother and some of my friends, they been like telling me like, take the guitar with you because you have something to say. And in the end, luckily, I decided to take it, and I took it with me. And even the first day, like I didn't have the best vibe for like music or something, and there was no even stage in the first day, and I was just trying to break the ice with some people sitting on the ground and singing between the tents for like 50 people or something, and it in each time, and it worked well. I felt that the people can receive the songs because the songs been really describing what's happening in art way. And that was the 31st of January, and then the second day for me in Tahrir Square in Cairo, that was 1st of February 2011, when I found the first stage in the revolution. And this stage, even in the beginning, was just made for like politicians and activists and people to say speeches and encourage the people, telling the news about what's happening outside. Mm-hmm. And then I could manage to have a chance to be on the stage and to perform some of my songs, and this was the first time to be singing for 100,000.
Were you ever afraid of getting jailed because it was, singing or playing that kind of music is forbidden, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, that's true, and it's been always very risky. Like, and I got arrested 2 times.
You did?
After the revolution, yes. But like at this moment in the beginning,
yeah,
there was no any kind of fear in the atmosphere, because what we had was an absolutely like revolution. Because
because the political state is that there was a dictatorship with Mubarak, right?
Yeah, Mubarak, exactly.
And people wanted him overthrown from
he was like 30 years there in charge, and he was a horrible dictator, and people were afraid of him all the time. But when we kick-started the revolution and we were there, like how people were united for the first time ever, experiencing the power of the people when they are united for one thing, asking for their freedom, that was something that totally make you ignore the fear 100%. We didn't have any kind of fear, not just me, everybody in the place. So I was just like feeling the power with the people and performing my songs that I was performing from before, but totally with a different feeling. That if before I was doing it from an individual point of view, now I was sharing it with the people, and I was just trying to find always the songs that have kind of interaction from the audience, because singing in the square in a demonstration was never like a concert. No. It was always like just how to use the power of the music to unite the people more and to make them sing together, especially if they are so different in the background. Like you could see like very rich people, very poor people, educated people, uneducated people from everywhere, and all of them are there for the first time in our life, experiencing the feeling that we are all one now. And I think that the music was the best way to unite them. That's how it worked there.
Did you ever believe that you will do actually a change after the revolution and overthrown the government and everything? Was there always something in your head, or it just happened, seeing there was a lot of people going on? And
no, to be honest, like no one even expected that revolution could happen in Egypt.
Do you know why it came to this point that it actually happened after 30 years and plus?
Yeah, it happened because the government in the last 5 years, they went crazy.
They did? In what way?
Arresting people and torturing them in jail till death, and the corruption in the police was crazy in the streets and everywhere. And like we also started to hear that the dictator is preparing his son to be the next president, and this was really big one. And one of the biggest hits for the people, that when the police officers, after starting to have smartphones, they started to film themselves when they are torturing and beating people in the police stations, and uploading these videos by themselves on social media as kind of showing power. They lost their mind. And these kind of videos and like torturing people and killing people in the streets, and it started to be everywhere when the social media also started to be like an access for everybody. Plus knowing that the dictator is preparing his son, and plus so many political shit, that all led to that. Plus also that the Tunisia, they started the revolution also before us. And then people did this like event. The revolution was an event on Facebook. Come on, so like
But regarding the social media thing, is how was that kind of climate before the revolution? Did people have social medias?
Yeah, like one of the best things this dictator corrupted government did, that they made kind of an easy access for every single person to have a computer and access to internet. And it's so funny that the communication ministry, he was so corrupted as well. And there's a big joke about this government, that the minister of communication, he made like a deal to make so much money out of making a deal from like importing computers in a cheap way somehow, and he made tons of money out of this corrupted deal. But the result was like a computer for every house. This was the name of the campaign. And what happened was like that, even very poor people that can't afford having computers, they got that. And then there was access for internet for everybody, even if it was a bit slow, but it was there. And that's how people started to be much more open to the world. And all this bullshit, like the government was telling us through movies, TV series, or like songs as well, that telling how Egypt is great, how the army of Egypt is great, they are the savior of the nations, and all these kind of stories. That it was like very obvious that, come on, we are living in shit. The whole world is living in a totally different way. And that's how people started to think for the first time that we need to change something. That helped so much. So social media was very important from before, and very important also during the revolution.
Yeah, so in a way, because of the computers, so somebody financed.
Yes.
It wasn't like in Tunisia. It was one tweet that started the Arabic War.
But in Egypt, it was social media was extremely big part and big tool for us. Yeah.
And even after the KAIRO, and we were playing for 100,000 people, and the revolution came, and they overrun Mubarak and everything. You even ended up in a hurtful way afterwards, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah,
because even though everything changed, there were still people trying to establish like it was normally before, right?
What happened is that Mubarak left, yes, as a person, but the system didn't fall down. This was the problem, and when I faced the first shit of being arrested, that happened in 9th of March, and that was like 1 month almost after Mubarak left, the dictator, and I got arrested by the military system, and Mubarak was part of the military system. So we found out that we took down the dictator as a person, but we didn't change anything in the system. That's why we always even say that we did a big mistake when we left the streets directly after the dictator resigned, because that was the biggest mistake, because we had the power, we could really make the change if we stayed in the streets. But people just being deceived by Mubarak resigned, that we made it, and that was totally wrong. And when few people found out this problem and wanted to stay longer, it ended up by the army attacking the sit-in in Tahrir Square in 9th of March, and they arrested 200 people, and I was one of them. And this was the first time to be arrested, and it was after the revolution, not before. And I've been arrested and been tortured very badly in this day, and they've been like knowing my name and like doing that because of the songs. And it was on the other hand, it was amazing chance to know how much music and art can hurt the systems and armies, and they were really afraid of just few people chanting and sleeping in the streets and making songs. And they are people with tanks and machine guns.
They have to be really scared, because you united the whole Egyptian people.
they were really scared. it was so obvious for in their eyes and how they questioning us or like how they beat us. It was a tough day, but it was also a big day to understand how strong we can be, especially with using the art. And I found out that not just from this day till now that dictators can stop anything. They can stop anything except art, because they will never be able to come in my brain and stop my creativity. They don't know what's happening here. And this is the way how we should fight them back. Yeah, and never take any violence chance back. That's not the right way.
No.
Yeah.
But they picked up you and 200 other people in the KAIRO street and threw you into jail, or how?
No, the torturing was in front of the Egyptian Museum building, so it was in the yard of the Egyptian Museum, almost in the streets, like outdoors, and they were torturing everybody.
It's like a public display to show that you should
yeah,
not.
but like people were so scared, so everyone left the whole square. So it ended up just the military people, officers, soldiers, and 200 people being tortured and beaten so badly. And but just my case was a little bit different because they knew my name and they were calling me Ramy during the torturing. It took like 8 hours, and I can see that it was torturing till death at some point.
Is it beating with
metal sticks, wooden sticks, built, jumping in your head, jumping in your back, kicking in the face. They cut my hair with broken glasses. They electrocuted me for very long with this electric stick for the army, humiliating you all the time. And there was not even any kind of interrogation. Like, they are not asking you to say something, just people that want to break you down. That's why it was so obvious how weak and afraid they are from just few people. Because when they attacked the sit-in, I think we were just few hundreds when they did that. And they came with like big amount of soldiers and our officers and yeah, weapons and stuff.
So obviously you're seeing death in your eyes, people dying around you, seeing that you were tortured all this whole time, I'm guessing. You lost friends.
I lost 5 friends in the revolution. They were not my friends from before. No. They are people that I made these friends in the struggle. Some of them died very early, some of them died later, in the first 2 years and a half. I'm talking this period. And one of them died in front of my eyes. And like, I always say that these guys that sacrifice, we all sacrifice it with different ways, but these guys that sacrificed their life, their soul, this is the biggest sacrifice that you could give to us and to the revolution. And I always say that they were the biggest motivation for us all the time, and like every single drop of blood came from any one of the martyrs of the revolution should be always the biggest motivation. Like, I don't want to sound emotional or like unrealistic, but it's I did deals with these guys. Sometimes it was words, sometimes it was eyes contacts, sometimes it was just feelings, that we all had the same will and the same dream and the same fight and the same cause, and they left us, but for sure they are still in our hearts. And one of the biggest reasons of why I'm still doing what I'm doing till now, and I will keep doing it till my last breath, is
getting your music out and making that voice heard.
Yeah, and they've been listening to my music, I'm sure. I know that, and they should be happy now that I'm still taking their voice wider and longer and everywhere as much as I can.
During this whole event, while you being, would you consider yourself during that whole event like, okay, this is it, I can probably be I wouldn't say martyr in that way, but it's hard to describe the feeling during all those hours and everything, but obviously you were thinking about, oh, this is the end, I've done my share of things. Yeah, exactly. During those 8 hours, what actually changed in that way?
Oh, that's a good point. Okay. First of all, during the 8 hours, I was super shocked.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I didn't know, I didn't expect or thought one day that I would be tortured. It's, and then it was happening, and they went way too much. And I really felt at some point that I was dying. And this exactly happened when the officer was jumping on my head for several times with his military boots, and I was losing consciousness, and I was totally feeling that I'm dying. And then at the same time, I just had this sound in my head saying like, no, Ramy, not now. Don't let them kill you. And I just get back to my conscious, and I was there, and the torture continued, and I was still super shocked. And the only thing that I could do during these 8 hours that I tried to stay silent as much as I can, because like I couldn't do anything. I was tightened the whole time, and the only thing to win any part of this fight was to stay silent, because they wanted to see us screaming and crying and shouting and saying stop and enough all the time. And the only way was just to shut up and not saying anything, even if it was really tough at some points. And this was the 8 hours. And then when I went back home, I had 10 days in bed, not able to move at all.
So they just left you for the dead?
They dropped me in a taxi.
They did you?
Yeah, because like they took most of the other 200 people to jail, and my physical condition was horrible. And they dropped me in a taxi, and they wanted to see where I'm going after that. And they sent like an officer with me to see exactly where I'm going. And I just chose a safe place for my friends in the downtown that's very close to the place where I got tortured. And then I went there, and then they just gave me like tons of painkillers and sleeping pills. Then I slept, and then next morning the only thing I wanted to do is to go back to my family and to ask myself the questions you asked me now. What I'm doing now, what the hell happened.
So it's ironic seeing that they beaten you for 8 hours straight, and then after they gave you painkillers. So okay, right?
No, the army. That was my friends.
Like, I see.
Yeah, like my friends. The officer just wanted to see where I am, and then he left.
I see. Okay.
And then I was in my friends' hands. They just wanted to make me sleep, and then the next morning I went to the hospital to make like checkup, especially on my skull and my head. And then it was pretty okay according to what happened. And then I just had one feeling that I want to go back home, to my mom, to my brother, to my sister, to my family, to my friends, just feel home. That was the only thing in my head. And when I was there on my bed for 10 days, this was like the best chance to ask myself this question, where I am now, what's happening, should I stop or not? Especially that I think if I stopped at this moment, that no one could blame me. And I actually got the chance to find that, no, this is just the start of this story. And mentioning again how afraid they were in their eyes, it was so obvious, and how much they were afraid from the music and from just few people. And I was already believing so much in the power of the music, and I had a big faith in that. But after this day, my faith and my beliefs became times more. And I just found that now it's my time to do my best to make less people facing a day like this. That was my decision. And when I just got my physical condition again, and I'm just better shape, and I can walk and I can move, I hear that there's a big event happening at Tahrir Square, and I decided to go back and join the people, and I made a song against them, and I just continued.
And it happened again? You got arrested twice?
Yes, I got arrested again in 2014, but this was the police, not the army. And this time was no torturing, no beating. It was like another also almost 8 hours. But it was just a stupid interrogation, like the interrogations we see in the movies. Yeah. So funny, idiots, officers asking for bullshit questions for no meaning, for no sense, and just trying to scare me. And the funniest thing was in the end when the officer was saying, "Ramy, we will take this interrogation as a promise from you that you will never sing against us again." And he hugged me. and then I left the building. It was like the intelligence secret police that we call Amn al-Dawla.
Excuse me, dear listeners. We just need a short break to present this episode's sponsor, which is Live Nation Sweden. Live Nation Sweden is the largest concert event company in Scandinavia. I think most of you really know who they are. So we will push for one of their events, which is Europe's Gigs in Stockholm, which take place at the 6th of December. Europe have been touring during this fall to support the new album Walk the Earth, which was released for a month ago. They have brought with them another Swedish rock band called Blues Pills. So this evening will be a hell of a great night. You can find all the information and how you get your tickets at livenation.se. Thank you for your patience. And now back to the interview.
So how did you end up in Sweden though?
I got a prize in 2011 from a Danish organization called Free Muse, and the award is called Free Muse Award for the freedom of expression. I got it in November 2011, and the ceremony of the award was in Stockholm, and the event was organized by SCOP organization.
Yeah.
And that was my first connection with Sweden and Denmark.
Was it also the first time you were overseas from Egypt? Have you been outside of?
It was another time before to London. That was the first time to leave Egypt, and it was in I think July or August 2011.
How was that? How was that experience coming to another country the first time? Seeing
it was so good feeling.
Different,
because
right?
Very different, especially that for Egyptians we have one of the shittest passports in the world. Super weak. You always get refused from the visas applications in the embassies, and we don't. Most of the people even in Egypt doesn't have passports because we don't have even the chance to leave, even financially or like because we are not welcomed somehow in other places. But it happened, and I could manage to leave, and it was so good experience. Even if I'm not like a big fan of traveling, but when I started to travel, I started to find how beauty is that, and how much I would love every single person on this planet to be just traveling everywhere, crossing these shitty borders.
So here it's a bit reversed, seeing that Egypt is a bit exotic. People want to go there to travel and vacation and everything. But for you, it's the other way around. Oh, this is nothing to see here. Go on.
That's true. So many people actually in Egypt, they didn't even see the pyramids, which is like awkward. I don't know how, but I saw it for sure. But like traveling for the first time, it was huge. Yeah. And amazing experience to see other cultures and other people and talk and learn. And then second time was Sweden, and this was the most different place in the planet from Egypt is Sweden.
Because it's cold and
it's cold, and the culture and the people and how people react.
Interact.
It's crazy different.
Well, what was your idea regarding Sweden, since looking at the internet and everything? Did you listen to any Swedish music before? Or?
No, I wasn't into that. Okay. When I came here, I always know that, okay, Sweden is like best musicians mostly coming from here, best producers mostly coming from here, best songwriters always from here. I know that from before, and I know that so many hits is everywhere is kind of made by Swedish musicians.
So that it helped for you to stay here, besides getting the award, I mean.
Actually, like when I really came here, ended up here in the end of 2014, when I started my residence in Malmo. This I think it was like really good chance for me to start to develop myself and work on myself as an artist, and study music. And Sweden is amazing in this way for any musician that want to have good chance to develop his music. Sweden is a good recommendation.
What kind of education did you?
What? In Malmo, I went to the school, Malmo Music School there, and I got like credit hours for performance and guitar and vocals, and this was my first time ever in my life to study music, because in Egypt, I don't want to say that we don't have music education, but it's almost not exist, and we have only one. I don't know the word in English, but like it's not even a university; it's an academy, and it's not very useful. And in the schools, most of the schools, they don't teach us music, and it's not a big part of the culture. So really few people doing that there. And it was first time for me to study music. It was in Sweden, in Malmo, and it was big difference.
Here is a bit different, because here is like you get school and you get actually paid to learn how to play music.
Oh, okay.
The education system is different here.
Yes.
Would you say there's some kind of benefits living in Egypt though, nowadays or before?
Yeah, like living in Egypt, you can totally learn how people can be close to each other's and love each other's and not being afraid from each other's. And these are the things that you're missing here in Sweden.
People are more occupied and not caring enough, perhaps a bit colder.
People here are. I don't want to be generalizing, but most of the culture here, everybody is trying to be more isolated and like more like this safe zone. And it's so sad here sometimes when you walk in Sweden streets and you don't see people smiling and you don't see people eye contacting to each other, or like it's sad when many times here I've been saying hey for people in the streets and they don't say hey back.
Well, that might be intimidated because of your looks with the beard and the long hair. and you are actually 2 meter long, like big guy as well. So
I'm quite exotic. Yes, I know that.
But maybe you should pick up your guitar and play a little bit, and people will come around and the music.
Music always makes things easier.
Have you been playing in the streets here in Sweden as well?
Oh no, concerts? I didn't try that. I performed in Sweden. I had few concerts for sure. Yeah, but like no, not in the streets. With friends, but not the concept of standing in the streets and singing. No.
Would you say that maybe you haven't thought about that, but seeing you from the outside, you're actually one of the bigger artists from Egypt in a way, right?
And with the new generation, with the alternative scene, yes.
Would you ever imagine that you would be the spokesperson for coming from Egypt and seeing that? Okay, because when we look at your repertoire, you've been doing a lot of stuff, touring, and also the latest I heard was you had a song with PJ Harvey.
Yeah.
Did you even know her before when you got
I knew PJ Harvey before. Yes, she's a legend in a way.
Could you explain a little bit how that collaboration came about?
Actually, when I met Henrik and Andreas, my management in Stockholm, like we've been trying to make like a list for the Dream featuring list, and PJ Harvey was one of the names that we mentioned, and then Henrik started to email them, and he started to email so many artists, and then one of them was PJ Harvey, and then we got a crazy answer from the management that they just said that oh my god, just Polly was just talking about Ramy a few days ago because she read an article about me, and then we found that there's a chance to talk, and then we've been pushing it more, and then at some point she was in a festival in Göteborg, and then we emailed them again, and then we got a chance to go and meet her before the concert, and then I found out that she knew about me from the Egyptian Revolution because her latest album was made, or like the music style was marching street music, and she was listening to the all kind of like street protesting artists in the history, and there was like the latest one, and she been watching what's happening, and that's how she got to know about me, and that's how the first chance came to meet and talk. And then in this meeting I mentioned that I would love to make a song with you, and then she said yeah, why not, and then she already had the song that called The Camp that we released in the end. It meant to be released in her latest album, but it didn't happen for some reasons, so the song was already there, and then she said I will send you this song because I think you could fit in, and then I had to somehow compose something totally extra and find the space for myself in the song, and then I think it worked very well in the end. And then I went to Bristol and to John Parrish, her guitarist and her producer, and we spent like 3 days in his studio.
Pure magic.
Yeah, and it was crazy. It was some like being with Polly and John Parrish for like 3 days. It was like they took me from the ground to the dream for 3 days. Yes, exactly.
Well, what else is on the wish list for you to collaborate with other artists? Do you have like a dream come true in terms of this is the person I want to do a song with?
Yeah, like my biggest dream was but he died, was Kurt Cobain. Yeah, so sad. Yeah. But I just wanted to mention it. And the biggest dream now is Serge Tankian. From System of a Down. That I will sing with him.
Are you in touch with him already?
Not yet.
Not yet.
But we will meet, definitely. We have a lot of common interest, and he means so big to me. And I'm influenced by him so much, and I learned from him so much. And what I like about him is not just how much he's great as a musician, it's also the topics and how politically aware as a human being, and that's what I want to do with him. If I could sing with System of a Down, for sure, that's also amazing. But
so you also have a couple of connections with them. I mean,
through Tom Morello, which was like the second dream is also.
It's just picking dream after dream after, so seeing that all the shit that happened, now it's your turn to actually collect everything in a positive way.
And I do believe in just we as humans, we just dream and believe in the things, and it happens. Nothing is far, nothing is impossible, and I've been dreaming to meet these people, and I met Tom Morello already, and we had a good vibe, and I'm sure that it's just a matter of time to start to do music together. And he's also it was so good to meet him in reality and find out that he is also a good human being, because sometimes you like artists and when you meet them it's not as good as you imagine, but with him he was a true artist, like very aware politically also, and he's very active, and that was very impressing. And so it's him, and it's so I met Tom Morello, so Serge Tankian is not far.
No, of course not. It's the same clique.
Exactly.
So in terms of your home country, are you thinking about going back?
Yeah, I will. I will actually. I will visit my country. Quite as soon as possible. Yeah, I do believe that I have to go back home. I don't want to feel that I'm in exile. And the main reason is to be outside Egypt was not because I'm afraid of them, the authorities. I mean, that's not my way at all. I just had to avoid my military service because I became 30. Yeah. And I was going to be, when I left, I was close to be 28, and I have to leave because the military law is saying that when you're 28, they will push you to do the military service even if you were delaying it by studying in the university. That was my case. And then I had to leave to avoid the military service for two reasons. First of all, like my relation with my government is quite bad because of what I'm doing. Yeah. And the second thing, which is more important, that I am totally against militarized people, and I'm against the concept of military and armies. I'm one of these people who believe in this beautiful dream of like living without armies in the planet and without borders as well. I know that it's quite far dream, but we just have to keep it, and I'm keeping it with me all the time. So I couldn't believe or see myself having a military suit or like carrying a weapon. So I just had to skip this chapter from my life, and that's why I left. And the military law in my country is saying that after 30 I'm free from doing the military service. And my mom is there, my family is there, my people is there.
But you haven't seen them in a couple of years now.
Yeah, we met in Dubai. Yeah. Because my sister, she's living in Dubai.
But you haven't actually been in Egypt since you're...
It's exactly 3 years now. And that's too much.
Yeah.
Because I miss my home. And I'm an artist that my life will be that I'm touring. So I will not have a specific home at some point. I will be traveling. And I want to take the whole world as my home. That's how I want to see it. But Egypt is my original home still, that I'm missing so much. So I will visit Egypt for sure. It's so not like I don't want to go back again.
No, of course it's your home and everything. Seeing that the political climate nowadays, are you afraid of your life if you go back now, I think? Is it different?
My return will always be risky in some ways, but...
Has it calmed down a little bit though?
No, they are not.
No.
They went some... way more crazy than any time before in some things concerning the political issues, because they experienced the shit of falling down, and so they don't want to feel that again. So when everything's happening, they're trying always to push down the people, and they are more crazy in torturing and arresting and so the risk is always there, but this is my way and this is what I choose from the beginning, so nothing new. And I do believe in that the international connections that I've been building, and like my international message and my supporters and my people should be a good shield.
Hopefully, of course.
Exactly.
Have you seen any more musicians coming out from that region now, years after?
After the revolution, I'm quite sad that there is no there's no lot of newcomers, but the movement that was exactly happening at the same time from 2011 in Egypt or Tunis or Lebanon or Jordan. We are a lot of projects. So like the alternative scene now in the region is way bigger than before. And finally, we have so many artists like singing about important topics and breaking taboos that we didn't used to do that before. And we are not just stuck with pop music singing about love.
Of course
all the time.
Which
is not bad, but
no,
like,
of course not. But there's also a lot of shit going on, so you have to mix it up.
But can you describe your future goals with your music career?
Yeah, like my one of the biggest one of the biggest ads that will be in my future career is that I will start to sing in English as well, and that I think will help me so much to carry my message wider, and it will make me easily be connected with more people. And this I experienced it when I was touring, and even in the future, if I can start to pick up some Spanish and French and do that as well. I'm really looking forward to do that. I'm quite good with languages if I give it
also
small
Swedish
effort.
then?
No.
Is Swedish a typical hard compared to Spanish, you would say?
No, I think Swedish language is easy, but I didn't give it attention or like work, and I used my stay in Sweden to develop my English. If we met 3 years ago, I will never be able to take the whole conversation
it's really
in English.
impressive. Huh.
So like my English being developed in Sweden, because everybody here speaks English very well.
But you got like a teacher to be SFE?
My English was good, like quite good in Egypt, but not as good as now at all. And now in Sweden it's been progressed like this, and now I don't think when I'm speaking it's just like it's like a language that I have. So that happened in Sweden. So when I came here, I was choosing like, do I need to learn Swedish or to focus on English? And I'm not living in Sweden most of the time because I'm touring, so it was better to go in English. And the French and Spanish, it's connecting with people with their own language is just a beautiful thing, and it really break through and it will help so much. So also French and Spanish is in my head, and I will work on that as soon as possible. I want to do big collaboration and featurings with people all over the world and share my culture with them and share the message with them, because when I was touring also I found out that it's the same shit everywhere. It just different styles of it, but it's the same shit. So I want to be touring the whole world and spreading the message of the people in Egypt and people in the Middle East and connecting that with other people. I want to stay singing everywhere.
It feels like it's 24/7. The music is your life, pretty much, right?
I got born to be.
Do you have
a musician.
anything else?
No.
Interest? It's just music.
I was a soccer player. That was my first dream before the music, but now it's just a hobby and nothing more. But like I love drawing and painting sometimes, but music is everything.
So you're actually a talented soccer player before.
I wasn't super talented when I was a kid, but I was a very well trained, self-trained.
A big guy, tall.
I was a big guy that's super fast and very strong physically. I was a good striker in the end, but I was like made up player, not talented, because I loved the sport so much. But at some point I had to choose soccer or music, and music won 100%.
Do you have any kind of first memory of music?
Yeah, first memory of music.
Do you have what kind of environment were you?
It's so funny for me that I never was like interested in music so much when I was a kid, and the one that was interested in music was Shadi, my older brother, and we've been sharing the room all our life, and he was crazy about Michael Jackson.
Okay.
So like my first impression about good music in my life, it was Michael Jackson. Even if I heard some music before Michael Jackson, but the first time I was like, what is this? This is something interesting. It was Michael Jackson. And even if I was not the one who going to play the music, it was always my brother. But it was always in my background all the time. And the first really time that I started to fall in love in music That was when my brother started to go to rock music, and that was through Linkin Park.
Okay.
Yeah, rest in peace, Chester.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Like the first time I was like really like this is the best thing ever I heard was the kind of the music, especially the Meteora and the first albums they did. It was crazy. And I fall in love in this, and then I started to ask for more. And then my cousin, he was the crazy guy in the family that has the big data and library of music. And then it was the iPod time. And then I went with my iPod, and I told him I love Linkin Park so much. Ahmed, please like give me everything you have in this direction. And I was like still playing soccer and like going to the gym and working out, and this music is the best. And then he gave me like huge data of like rock, hard rock, metal bands, and I was just going through everything. And my best bands was always like System of a Down and Nirvana and Rage Against the Machine, but I also liked Limp Bizkit so much and Linkin Park so much, and I've been listening also to Metallica for sure at this time, and and Disturbed, I love them, and Korn.
There's a lot of American music, so which is
yeah. It was like this, and it ended up with System and Nirvana and Rage. Yeah. This was top 3.
Well, what about your brother? Are you thinking about playing with him overseas, some touring?
With my brother?
Yeah.
Oh, he's not playing music.
He doesn't? Oh, I figured he was a musician as well.
No. He was just a big fan.
So you're basically the only musician in your family?
Yeah, like he liked to sing. Like he's a good singer. My sister, she's a good singer, and they like art and music, but they didn't take it for next level at all. I'm the only one who.
Are you trying to help them as well? Meaning that getting them outside of Egypt and maybe live overseas? Or?
My sister, she's in Dubai now, and my brother, he's still in Egypt. He's working there, so yeah, it's up to him.
What's the connection with Dubai? You're signed to a record label over there, right?
I signed with Universal MENA. Yeah, the Universal in the MENA region. Yeah, but this happened by they just emailed us like 2 years ago, and they said that we're seeing the progress in your music and we would love to work with you. And then we started to contact them back, and it worked very well. And I was actually quite impressed and surprised that they contacted me, because I'm quite crazy in my region, and the topics and the lyrics that I'm using there is not easy to handle sometimes, and they are somehow a commercial machine there. And I was so clear with them from the beginning that don't ever think that you can change any shit I'm doing here. And they said, no, we respect, we go your way. And I was surprised that they wanted to work with me, and we signed only one album, and now I'm finishing my next album, and they are interested into as well. So
would you say that you're a full-time musician now? You can basically live off your music.
Yes, I'm a musician, and I can't do anything else.
So that's a dream come true. I mean, most of the Swedish people can't even have that as a full time, but you've actually made it, even though with the struggles and hard work.
It was very hard. But like the only message I would love to share with musicians: you have to sacrifice so many things to reach this point. Because if you really love that, because if you want to go faster, if you want to go wider, if you want to reach more, if you want to reach your dream that you've been dreaming when you were 16, 18, you have to sacrifice everything to do that. That's the only way.
With that said, those are the last spoken words from Ramy, I think. Wisdom.
I really want to thank you very much.
Thank you so much for this interview.
Thank you for listening to Rock Dude 60, where our guest Ramy Essam did tell us all about his experiences and all the stories about music and more. This was not only a classic interview, we actually had the opportunity to talk to a guy, Ramy Essam, that united the Egyptian people against Hosni Mubarak during the revolution in 2011. It was a great honor to have him as a guest in this episode. Don't forget to follow us on our social media network as Facebook, Instagram, YouTube and Twitter. Search for Rockdudespodden. Please write some comments about this episode or what you think about this podcast. And give us a tip which guest you want to be in our future episodes of Rock Dudes. We will of course thank our sponsor Live Nation Sweden. And don't miss the chance to see Europe's concert together with Bluespills in Stockholm the 6th of December. You can find all the information and how you buy your tickets at livenation.se. The jingle was recorded by Jonas Hermansson, Peter Månsson and Mia Kohlhart. The interview was recorded and edited by Jonas Löv. Next episode, Rock Dude 61, will be released next Friday, the 8th of December. If you want to know the guests, you will find out through our social media. Don't miss that. Until then, rock on!
Rock Dude!